Governor J.B. Pritzker says making appointments to the Illinois Prisoner Review Board is difficult because of all of the politics around it. Well, Republicans saying that it's the governor's handling of the Prisoner Review Board that's making controversy. Welcome back. Bishop on Air with you again. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And check out my X page. Just search Bishop on Air, and you can stay connected with some of the stories that my team and I produce. And you can see the story with the headline, Pritzker says politics around Prisoner Review Board makes appointments difficult. This comes after the governor announced last week that 2 Prisoner Review Board members, including the chair, were resigning. You had board members Leanne Miller and Chairman Donald Shelton resign last month after it was revealed that a recent parolee named Crossetti Brand was released after a determination by Prisoner Review Board member Miller. And that individual is now alleged in the stabbing attack that killed the 11-year-old Jaden Perkins and 33-year-old Lataria Smith. Smith was pregnant and I believe injured, but the 11-year-old died in that attack. Well, yesterday, the governor made his first public appearance since that shakeup at the Prisoner Review Board, and he shared his thoughts and also what he sees is going to be necessary in the changes that he's making.
First of all, the death of an 11-year-old boy is unbelievably tragic, and under any circumstances, and these especially. I think that the members of the PRB, as you know, are of both parties. They're nominated and approved by the Senate. And I think that as you know, the leader of the panel that made the decision to let the prisoner Brand out has resigned. I think that was probably a proper decision on her part. And I think that the chairman of the PRB, who served admirably for 11 years, also a Republican, chose to leave. I did not express any reason in particular, but I think that the changes that are necessary here are evident in the fact that the panel didn't take into consideration enough the domestic violence history of this particular prisoner, and the fact that there were reports by the victim of that person knocking on her door, being around her apartment building, etc. And so one thing that we've decided to do is to make sure that we enhance the domestic violence training that all PRB members get, including all the ones that are there now, and of course any new ones that are proposed, to make sure that this never happens again.
So the governor was then asked another follow-up question to that, essentially asking, well, you got these 2 vacancies that just came up, including the chairman. When are you going to make appointments to fill those vacancies? Here's the governor reacting to that question yesterday in Chicago.
Well, the more that people politicize the position, the less likely it is that someone would want to serve in it. And as you know, there have been people in the General Assembly, typically the opposite party, who have politicized this. So it makes it more difficult. But we have not, this has been a very short period of time. I think we're talking about 5 work days so far since the resignations, the 2. And so obviously we're contemplating that we need to make nominations to those positions, but we don't have any decisions yet.
So we will, of course, be following this because even Senate Republicans, they plan a news conference today to highlight this and to put more attention on it. Well, I connected with one of those Senate Republicans, State Senator Jason Plummer, about this very issue and getting direct response to what the governor had to say in his first public appearance after the shakeup at the Illinois Prisoner Review Board, where, again, a criminal was let out of prison, and that criminal is now alleged to have gone and stabbed and killed an 11-year-old and a pregnant woman who's injured. And you got 2 prisoner review board members who are resigning because of that, including the chairman. Here's Senator Plummer with his thoughts.
Well, once again, this governor points a finger somewhere else. The only person responsible for what's taking place at the Prisoner Review Board is J.B. Pritzker. He's pathologically incapable of accepting responsibility for almost anything, though, so I'm really not surprised.
So I asked Plummer about the governor's reaction of appointing people and saying, hey, the politics gets in the way of this. And here's Plummer's reaction.
Well, the politics need to be removed from the process. The real simple answer is the governor needs to appoint qualified people and not activists to the Prisoner Review Board. That's the easy solution. Unfortunately, this governor has strayed and done things differently than prior administrations, a Republican and Democrat. And so, I think additional safeguards need to be put in place by the legislature. And I've had legislation languishing in the Senate for an extended period of time on this, as have other senators. And I think you're going to see the Senate Republicans roll out some pretty comprehensive ideas to rein in this governor and his Prisoner Review Board to keep the people of Illinois safe.
So again, we may hear more of those comprehensive ideas from Senate Republicans, including Senator Plummer today with the news conference they plan. But I asked yesterday, what are some of those specifics? Is it a matter of, say, for instance, having other people be able to appoint a appointee to the Prisoner Review Board instead of just having the governor do that? Is it more adherence to the process of appointing? Because the governor has a history of making an appointment, 60 days go by, and then the appointment expires. The governor withdraws that appointment and reappoints that individual. All the while, that individual is immediately working for that $90,000 taxpayer-funded salary for a Prisoner Review Board member without getting that official confirmation from the Illinois Senate. So what specifically are Republicans going to be looking to do about the Prisoner Review Board situation? Again, here's Senator Jason Plummer.
The Prisoner Review Board has worked pretty decently for decades. It wasn't until J.B. Pritzker became governor that things became dangerous. So I don't think it's necessarily taking anything away from the office of the governor. I think it's holding a spotlight to this governor and making sure he follows the rules. He has done everything he can to manipulate the statutory process by which these appointments are supposed to be made. And that has left unqualified and dangerous people making reckless decisions for months and in some instances years at a time without being confirmed by the Senate. So I don't think we have to take things away from the governor, but unfortunately, because of this governor's unwillingness to follow the rules, we're going to probably have to put tougher rules in place to make sure that the nominees to this board are qualified and competent, and also that the procedures that our predecessors put in place as checks and balances are more closely followed.
And in talking about more closely following those checks and balances that Plummer talked about there, again, the governor has been appointing members to the Prisoner Review Board. The Senate doesn't take it up within 60 Senate session days. The governor withdraws that and then reappoints them. And how are they going to attack that situation to adhere more to that process? Again, Republican State Senator Jason Plummer.
Well, this had nothing to do with COVID. I'm the Republican spokesman on executive appointments, and I would literally sit in committee and watch dozens and dozens of appointees to different boards and commissions come right through committee, get confirmed, and everything worked pretty flawlessly, except the Prisoner Review Board people. This wasn't something that we saw across other agencies and departments and boards. This was strictly a Prisoner Review Board issue. And the governor says, "Well, I appoint and the Senate confirms." No, that's not how it's been working with Governor Pritzker. The way it's been working with Governor Pritzker is he appoints, people immediately start serving. He waits till a day or two before their 60-day deadline. He withdraws the appointment. He waits a few more days, and then he reappoints them, and he starts the clock over again. And he plays this game over and over and over again with multiple appointees. Suddenly, you have a Prisoner Review Board full of people who haven't been confirmed by the Senate, whose well-paid position is 100% controlled by the governor. He can reappoint them or not reappoint them. I think that speaks to why we've seen such a dramatic shift in voting patterns at the PRB, because the governor has intentionally manipulated the process so that these people are answerable to only him.
So again, I imagine you'll hear a lot more from Senate Republicans on this issue, not just today, but also throughout the remainder of legislative session, which ends May 31st, though they have an adjournment date several days ahead of that. They do have the rest of the month of May spelled out for contingent days because they got to get a budget together. So the House comes back today. The Senate's off this week. They come back next week, but it is a mad dash to the final few weeks of session at the Illinois State House. So we'll, of course, review what happens today when we join together tomorrow here with Bishop on Air. Greatly appreciate you guys being here each and every weekday morning. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Find out how you can get a hold of me. Just visit bishoponair.com.